because I'm a nutritionist, I also know I should be having this much protein, I should be having this much fiber, these are my carbohydrates, these are my fats. So for me, it's much easier. But for many women, they don't know. They don't even know what a carbohydrate is. See, a lot of these haven't been tested on menopausal women. They may have been tested on other adults, but menopausal women, menopausal stress that you may feel, ashwagandha is very useful. But in a menopausal woman, again, it's trial and error. It may work for some women, it may not work for others. Tempeh, tofu, edamame, but not soy isolates, not soy that you find in supplements or pills. You know, you want to actually eat the soy source.
Hello everyone, today's guest is a nutritional specialist and an MSc in nutrition who will help us in understanding our bodies and nutritional needs during the menopause and perimenopause phase, and will also help us how do we equip or give us small tips on what we are eating and what we should not be eating. So let's get into an insightful conversation with Jyothi. Welcome Jyothi, welcome to Decode with Swathi. Thanks for your time and putting all the efforts and helping us know the nutritional values and perspectives about nutrition in a better way. Thank you. Thanks again for your time. So to begin with, I would like to understand what drew your attention towards nutrition and what's your journey about, or how did you start, in getting into the nutrition and everything?
I was already a yoga teacher. I was teaching yoga as well, but I really wanted to dive deep into nutrition. If I had gone back 20, 25 years, I would have definitely gone into med school, but it was a little late at this point in of my life. So I thought, okay, let's get into nutrition. I first did my health coach. I did a health coaching certification, and that wasn't enough for me. I really wanted to dive deeper. And then I went ahead and did my master's in clinical nutrition. After that, I was going through my own perimenopause phase where I didn't have a lot of symptoms other than really the belly fat. And for me, that was a big eye-opener for me. Somebody who's been very lean all her life and very active, I'm like, what is going on? I'm not doing anything different. The same question all women ask. I'm doing nothing different. I'm probably eating healthier than before. I'm probably working out more than before, but yet I'm dealing with this belly fat. So I went ahead and I started to dive deep into menopause, perimenopause, and understanding perimenopause and menopause from a nutrition perspective. So I did multiple certifications in menopause, and I became certified as a menopause practitioner. I did a menopause and nutrition certification. So I've done multiple. After doing those certifications, I worked on myself, and I implemented everything I learned and was able to lose 20 pounds in the process. And then I thought, this is perfect because I am a prime example. I sort of, worked on myself using all the information and knowledge that I learned. And if I can do it for me, I wanted to do it for other women. And that's pretty much why I got into the menopause side of, nutrition and helping women.
Okay. So, it's really difficult to not say, I know you're 54-year-old, and it's really fantastic how you have maintained yourself, whether it's your skin, hair, or your overall body strength, everything. Kudos to your efforts. How do you feel about being 54, and what's your take on the age and numbers, everything?
I feel that, I think as women, what defines a 54-year-old? What defines a 35-year-old? What defines a 65-year-old? I think we have to sort of, I would rather somebody say, you look good, instead of saying, you look good for 54. What is 54? I think women nowadays are sort of reinventing what the 40s, 50s, 60s are, so I'm very proud to be part of that journey and that sort of reversal of mindset for women. But yeah, sure, it feels, I guess it feels good, but in my own head, I don't feel 54. I don't know what 54 is supposed to feel like. I feel the same as I did, maybe 20 years back, just more wiser and more confident. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's fine.
Wow, wow, that's wonderful. That's how, everyone has to feel about themselves and, be motivated or, yeah, that's the right spirit, I can say. I would like to understand more about perimenopause and the belly fat. So we all are aware, and most women are aware that, like there is increase in belly fat during the menopause and perimenopause phase. Like, what is the connection or relation between belly fat, particularly, and in this phase? If you could, help us or show some light on that, it would be really helpful.
Yes, once you go into perimenopause, your belly fat shifts from, there's a shift in your weight from your hips and thighs to your belly, but nobody really explains why that shift happens. So you have to think of fat cells. We have fat cells all through our bodies. The fat cells have locks on it, and our hormones. Think of your hormones as a key. Your hips and thighs listen to estrogen because it's actually a preserve built for pregnancy, for carrying a baby, for breastfeeding. So the fat that is in your hips and thighs is actually used for the need of the baby's brain and eye development. So estrogen is very protective, and it stores really your fat in your hips and thighs in your reproductive years. Belly fat listens to your stress hormones and testosterone. Those hormones are always in your body, but your belly fat, the belly, it's just blocked from reaching the belly when estrogen is so strong in your hips and thighs. Now, when you go through perimenopause, that estrogen starts to fall. It starts to decline. Actually, it starts to fluctuate quite a bit, but there is also a decline in estrogen. So your hip and thigh reserve isn't protective anymore because generally in your 40s, I mean, women do have babies in their 40s, but the estrogen is declining. So your body is thinking, okay, well, your reproductive years are over. You're not going to carry a baby. So that block on the belly lifts. So now the hormones, the stress hormones, the testosterone hormones, they get through the switch. It's kind of like now the vacuum is pulling the fat into your belly cells. So on top of that, two more things are happening. Women naturally lose muscle as they age, and muscle is what burns calories even when you're resting. So when you have less muscle, that means the body needs less food just to keep it running. So more of what a woman is eating has nowhere to go but storage. It's now stored. Insulin, that hormone also moves sugar out of the blood. So that also stops working. It's not as efficient anymore. So more of that insulin stays in your system or in your blood. And insulin's job is to tell the body to hold on to fat, not to burn it. So altogether, it's not about eating more, that a woman is eating more. It's just that the fat is now finding a new place to go. So your body needs less fuel than before and a stronger push to hold on to fat. All of that is happening together. So that's kind of why the shift happens.
Okay, okay. That's a lot of science to understand. Yeah, a lot of things. It's not just hormones. Like there's a lot of things going on in woman's body. It's insightful, really. So in general, if you've observed, we all eat. I mean, especially Indians eat a lot of carbohydrates. So what's your take on that, and how should that be balanced on a day-to-day basis?
So South Asian women tend to eat more carbohydrates, not just women, but the men as well. What happens when I work with women, what I find out, what I have them do is generally track their food. I have them track their food for 7 days to understand their eating patterns. Most women are under eating. They're not eating enough calories. Not only are they under eating, but they're under eating protein and they're under eating fiber. Those are the two things. If we can shift that into more protein needs, generally, most women need about 90 to 120 grams of protein. Most women that come to me, I see them eating 30 to 40 grams a day. That's it. If you just make that shift, it makes such a difference. It makes a difference in metabolism, in how your body is burning fuel, and how your body is using that energy, and how your body fat shifts. So that's the change that needs to happen. So when you're building a plate, I always tell women, don't focus on the rice and the roti first. Focus on what protein you're going to put on the plate. Build your plate around the protein. Every meal should have protein, not just one meal. Most women will say, oh, I had chicken for dinner. I go, okay, what did you have for breakfast and lunch? Yeah, it will always be something just carb rich with very little protein. So there's a shift in your macros and how you eat and how you spread protein across the day. Those are very important.
So, Jo, what's your take on this millets and rice, and which one do you suggest it's healthy? There's a lot of things, when we say diet, like we all usually think that millets is the healthier option and rice is not healthy. So, if you're switching from rice to millets, that's the best option you can do, and that's when you start your diet kind of a thing. So, what's your entire take on this?
Okay, so actually, both have carbohydrates. Millets tend to have a little more, maybe 3 times the amount of fiber than rice does. It also has a little bit more, just very little more protein in it. But I myself, I wouldn't tell a woman to eat millets, especially if he doesn't like millets. The whole point of changing your plate is why I have somebody track their food is to understand their eating behavior and understand the types of food that they like. If they tell me, Jo, I don't like millets, fine, you don't have to have millets. If she says, I like rice, please eat your rice. The problem is the portion size may need to reduce. And because it lacks fiber, now what are you going to put beside the white rice? It's just rice and dal. That's not gonna help, right? That's not a very fibrous plate. It also doesn't have protein with it. So fine, eat your white rice. What are you gonna pair it with? That's my concern. So it's not that you have to change millet, to millet just to get in more fiber or to get a little bit more protein in. No, keep your white rice, but what are you gonna put alongside with it? No, it's not mandatory, but again, white rice. The other trick that I tell, especially if somebody is insulin resistant, white rice can actually spike that blood sugar because it doesn't have a lot of fiber in it. In that case, sometimes I tell them, if you like your white rice, cook your white rice, keep it in the fridge, reheat it, and eat. Because 20 to 30% of that. The blood sugar spike can be blunted if you do that. If you cook it, refrigerate it, and then reheat it and eat it, the next day. So that's another little trick for for sort of blunting that blood sugar spike with white rice.
So I had heard of actually this white rice technique, refrigerating the white rice will reduce the sugar spike or something. But I was not sure whether it's true or not. But Jo, actually there's a lot of stigma, like refrigerated rice is not good for your health, or like most of them believe keeping food in refrigerator is not good and they do not eat it. So how do you deal with this kind of, for example, if your client says like, I do not personally like to keep food in refrigerator and eat it. So how do you manage or balance their situation?
I know how to remove that other than putting the science in front of somebody. That also comes from our tradition and our culture, which I totally understand. And if that's the case, somebody does not want to do that. My next thing is, okay, so now what are we going to pair with that rice? You're cooking your rice today. Now what are you going to eat alongside of it? So that's how it would work with that person.
So basically, you have different work around things and you will know how to balance their plate. So Jo, we all know that there's a lot of bone loss and this phase, and calcium is very much needed for your bone health and also vitamin D. What's your take on this?
When estrogen declines, it speeds up bone loss. So calcium and vitamin D are very important. It supports the bone, but it does not replace strength training. That's what actually builds your bone, Okay. So, again, with calcium, milk isn't the only source of calcium. You can get calcium through ragi, sesame seeds, greens, leafy greens. Tofu also counts. Vitamin D deficiency in South Asians especially is very common. It's very real. Over half of postmenopausal South Asian women are deficient in vitamin D. And it's not because we don't have enough sun in India. We have plenty of sun in India, but our skin is darker. The melanin in our skin, we're not able to absorb that vitamin D. We also tend to be clothed a lot more, saris and all of that. It's blocking the larger parts of our body where the absorption actually matters, like our torso, our legs. Also, the pollution. Places like Delhi, Bangalore also, there's so much pollution that's blocking the UVB. And a lot of our times we're spending indoors. We're not spending outdoors.
So the other sources of calcium are like sesame seeds, tofu, everything. So it's not that like you have to take milk mandatorily for keeping your bone health. So personally, I do not like milk. So I take sesame seeds for calcium, calcium source, as a source of calcium. I have a few questions, like I have few meal options where I would like you to rate them. So basically it's a rate my plate segment kind of a thing, since you're a nutritionist. So we'll start with one by one. Idli with sambar and coconut chutney.
It's healthy. The fermentation, because of the idli, very good, gentle on blood sugar. Sambar adds the dal and the veggies, but still low on protein. So you would have to have a protein, maybe an egg, extra dal, because dal can also be very watery, right? You may just be eating the water. So you may need to add a little bit of protein on the side, but otherwise it's healthy.
Poha with peanuts?
It's okay. It's a fine rice flakes. Peanuts, it has a good healthy fat in it, but it doesn't cover the protein gap. People always think peanuts are protein, but it is actually a fat first. A healthy fat, yes, but you can overdo your peanuts as well. But the protein gap is very real. So some hung curd, Greek yogurt, sprouts along with it is a better option.
Curd rice with pickle?
Curd, it depends on what kind of curd. Homemade curd does not have a lot of protein. Hung curd is better. Greek yogurt, of course, is the best. But the dish is pretty light, just curd rice with pickle. Doesn't have a lot of fiber. There's no fiber there. So you may need to add carrots, beetroot. Cucumber is not fibrous, so don't think cucumber has fiber. It doesn't. It absolutely does not. But you have to add fiber along with it. Cucumber is mostly water, so it doesn't really count. But so very moderate curd rice with pickle. You need to add to that. Yeah. It's not fiber. It is generally water. If you just squeeze the cucumber, it's just water that comes out, right? Even your squashes, a lot of them, it's purely water. It has some minerals in there, yes, but it's not a fibrous food. If you eat the cucumber with the skin, that's much better, but most of us don't eat it with the skin. But the skin is actually where you get your fiber from. So Indian salad is generally tomato, cucumber, and onion. Every time I go to India, I'm like, what is this? It's not a salad. This is not a salad, right? But so that's why add the beetroot, add the carrot, keep the skin on the cucumber, a much better option.
Rajma chawal?
Yeah, it's rich in protein and it's rich in fiber. It's pretty healthy. Good fiber, good vegetable, but you do need a protein on the side. Not enough protein.
Okay, so here again we have to build it with protein. Vegetable, khichdi and ghee. Again,
moderate. Dal and rice together is a complete protein, but khichdi is more rice heavy with little dal. So the protein gap is very real. So you would need to add a protein source with that.
In the same way, I have few snack options for you to guide us. Roasted makana. Is it healthy, moderate, or we have to rethink of this as an option or rebuild it?
It's healthy. It's low calorie. It's high fiber, but again, not a lot of protein. So if you're eating roasted makhana as a snack, you will need to eat again some nuts or some hung curd along with it.
Fruit chat with chaat masala.
It's pretty healthy as long as again, fruit. You keep the fruit whole. It's great. A fiber source. But again, if you're eating it as a snack, pair it with nuts or curd alongside it.
Buttermilk.
Buttermilk is healthy, good for hydration, good for digestion, good probiotic. It's not high in protein.
Store-bought granola bars.
Every once in a while it's fine, but it can be high in sugar. That's the main problem, is that it can, whether it's jaggery, whether it's honey, it's still sugar. So those granolas, I would suggest no. If you know how to make it at home, it's fine. Or if you eat it once in a while, it's okay. But I would rethink the store-bought granola.
Dry fruits and nuts.
Very healthy, as long as it's not mixed with sugar and, but otherwise it's healthy, and as long as it's a small handful, it's good.
Okay, so we think most of our foods are healthy and we believe that they're healthy and we consume it. So I would like your inputs on that. Flavored yogurt, is it a healthy option?
So generally fat gets pulled out, sugar gets added back in because you need something to flavor it. So because of the sugar levels, no. But I know Epigamia has a 15-gram flavored yogurts, which I generally eat when I go to India because it's very protein forward and the sugar is minimal compared to the protein. So something like that would work, but otherwise your flavored yogurts, the fruit yogurts and stuff is loaded with, it's loaded with sugar. So you have to read the labels.
Multigrain bread.
So multigrain bread means more than one grain, right? It's multi. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's whole grain. So you have to read the ingredients and make sure that it says 100% whole grain. That's one. Otherwise, it's a refined flour that they're putting in there. If it doesn't say 100% whole grain, then they're using just your refined flour. Also, the reason why you would eat a multigrain bread is you think it's healthy and you think it's high in fiber.
Jo, I have a few myths and facts to burst. Like, I want you to tell which is a myth and which is a fact. Ghee and oil should be completely avoided after 40.
No, that's a myth. Fats are needed to make your hormones. And your adrenal glands, which are the two small glands that sit right above your kidneys, they take over some of that hormone production once the ovaries slow down. And that process still needs fat as raw material. So fat also helps absorb certain vitamins, and it helps to keep you full. And the brain is also made of fat. So there's new research that is leaning towards the fact that fat for fuel is needed in this phase of life. So a teaspoon or a teaspoon or so per meal is absolutely fine. So it's the total amount that matters, not the fat itself.
Weight gain in menopause is inevitable. Diet can't help.
That's half myth. So that shifting to the belly is very real and is near universal hormonal pattern. It happens to almost every woman. Some more, some less. How much you gain and how much becomes visceral fat is strongly shaped by your diet, your muscle, how much muscle you have, and by your sleep. So diet absolutely helps to move that needle.
Soy foods are dangerous for women.
Evidence is actually the other way. Multiple studies link soy to lower breast cancer risk, specifically in Asian women. So actual soy, like tempeh, tofu, edamame, but not soy isolates, not soy that you find in supplements or pills. You want to actually eat the soy source.
Skipping meals helps control menopause weight.
That's the worst thing you could do. So that's a myth. It actually, skipping meals can actually worsen your blood sugar swings and can lead to overeating later. It does nothing for the two things that actually matter. It doesn't improve how well your body responds to insulin, and it doesn't help protect muscle. Muscle needs steady protein throughout the day. So if you skip meals, it's much harder to get in the adequate amount of protein that you need in the day.
Supplements can replace a proper diet?
No, nothing replaces or replicates real food. Real protein, real fiber, and real nutrients. So anything that is a supplement, especially those marketed menopause supplements, they're also, there's not a lot of evidence behind them, very thin data on them, and they're also not dosed properly. So this is my whole take on supplements.
So Jo, when you say about supplements, like I've heard of this gummies or Ayurvedic supplements like ashwagandha. What's your take on that?
See, a lot of these haven't been tested on menopausal women. They may have been tested on other adults, but menopausal women, menopausal stress that you may feel, ashwagandha is very useful. But in a menopausal woman, again, it's trial and error. It may work for some women, may not work for others.
I have few rapid fire questions. One food you would never give up even post 40?
Me personally, I don't think anyone should give up anything. Food is meant to enjoy. But there are certain foods that you should eat rarely. Some foods you eat moderately, and some foods that you should have most of the time, right? Food is meant to enjoy. There's a time and place, like something like cotton candy or something like that. Am I going to eat that every day? No. I may have it once in 6 months, but I don't think there's anything you really need to give up alcohol. That's the one thing I would say, that you probably should avoid for many reasons.
Wow, Jo, that's a wonderful advice. Most of our listeners would definitely take this as a key takeaway from this episode. Breakfast you recommend to most of your clients?
Eggs, if you can eat it. If you're a vegetarian, you don't eat eggs, something like a mung dal chila with hung curd or Greek yogurt on the side. Both are great. It starts your day with a good amount of protein, and that's very important. So any of those two breakfasts is something that I would recommend.
One healthy food you personally avoid?
I thought about that. I'm like, there's nothing that I would avoid. I like pretty much everything. There's nothing I don't like. One food I personally don't like is cauliflower. I don't really like cauliflower. But again, it depends how it's cooked. But otherwise, no, nothing.
As a final segment, like if you have to say 3 doable action items for all the listeners who can start immediately, like which can be started immediately from tomorrow. So what are the 3 action items you would suggest for them?
The doable action is to start focusing on protein. Build your plate around protein. The second takeaway is to strength train. I cannot tell you how important strength training is. So at least start off 2 times a week with strength training, even if it's only 20 minutes a day. And you can start at home. You don't have to go to a gym. The other thing is your sleep timing and your sleep-wake. Try to keep it consistent. The time you go to bed every day and the time you wake every day. So those are the 3 things that I would say people can start like now.
Thank you, Jo. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your, your insights. This was really helpful and eye-opening for a lot of us. Thank you.